Hello, I'm Michelle Ricketts.
And I'm Martin Ricketts. I got my cue today. Yay.
Almost. Welcome to Cohesion Connect. In the last episode, we talked about taking back time. And today, we're going to talk about being adept at navigating the online world and communicating effectively across various digital platforms. Now, that's a mouthful, Mike. Martin, can you break that down a little bit and tell us what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of technology solutions out there. But one of the things that we did is we came up with what we call the 5 pillars of productivity, the things that we can do and every business must do to be more efficient. And so we're going to talk about the first one today, which is moving to the cloud.
Excellent, excellent. And I think in there, we're also touching on a little bit about work-life balance with the certain generation.
Yeah, we do a lot of work with Gen Z and Millennials. In fact, that's what our programs are focused on. And I just did a post the other day called There Is No Spoon, but it talks about the differences between Gen Z and Millennials and baby boomers. So we're going to talk about that today too.
Well, and tell me a little bit more about this work-life balance thing.
Well, Gen Z sees the world very differently from the way baby boomers do. And, there's a lot of people that have challenges with working with Gen Z because they look at things differently. But they make up 50% of the working population in North America and 75% global. So really, Gen Z, young people, are you have to deal with that. And you have to figure out how to deal with them. But work-life balance for them is very different, right, Michelle? They don't see it in the same way.
Absolutely. They see it very differently. And work-life balance, when I talk about it, I actually talk about integration, right? And it's about being able to do everything together, because balance is a myth. We're never really going to get balance. Something is always going to suffer. So I talk about being able to integrate your work, your life, family, fitness, everything together. And that way, that integration gives you that flexibility of being able to do different things. And as you say, when you want, what you want, where you want, right?
Yeah, here's the thing that I've found. Work-life balance, and because I've always been sort of outside the system, which is I've been a serial entrepreneur since I was a teenager, and I always did things the way I wanted to, that's the way young people want to work now. And here's the thing. The line between work and play, there is no line if you love what you do. The line suggests it's this work bad, play good, and there's a line. And, a lot of people, especially in the older generation, they don't want to mix those two. But if you love what you're doing, if you're a YouTuber, an influencer, a coach, or someone that's doing, it's not so much that there's a line. In fact, the line is an illusion. I talk about The Matrix. It's my favorite movie of all time. And there's a scene in it where they show the, let's see, I think I have no, I don't have the graphic from it. He's holding up a spoon in The Matrix. And the young kid that he's talking to, he says, there is no spoon. And what he means is that the spoon is a reality in them. The spoon is not real in The Matrix. It's just how you think about it. It's the same way that people think about the line. The line doesn't really exist. It's your perception of what is good and what is bad in regards to what you're doing. And again, the young generation looks at that very, very differently. They just don't see that break, mainly because they're doing the thing they love, then they're going over here, and they've got this kind of organic schedule that isn't structured. They don't want structure. So for me, that's a really, really key point. The line is a perception. And it's not as relevant if you love what you're doing.
And I remember, Martin, we were on a call at one point and there was a couple of millennials and we were talking about being able to set things up and do things and what they do in their day. And the young lady said, oh, I don't want structure.
Yeah,
but then we were talking to her about how you still have to have something set up, right? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, that is a really interesting point. Every time I'm talking to young people, I'm wanting to convey these things to them. But she said, I said, do you need systems and processes? She said, well, I don't want structure. What I realized is what I really need to say to her is, if you want to have a lifestyle that is free and allows you to do whatever you want, The only way to do that is to create systems and processes in your business so that things can run independent of you, and you can have automated processes for lead gen and sales. The more you can automate processes, the more freedom you have to do what you want, when you want, where you want, as much as you want. In fact, it's the only way to do that. You simply can't do it any other way.
Absolutely. And I come across business owners who, they're doing great with their business. They're making sales, they've got revenue, but they're still doing a lot themselves. And a lot of things are still in their heads. They haven't actually documented or outlined their processes and their systems. And they're not able to step away at any point, whether it's for a day, a few hours, or a week, right? They're still doing a lot themselves. When having a background in corporate, when I came from corporate and then as an entrepreneur, one of the key things I had to learn was to be able to be flexible in my structure. Because with corporate, we get a lot of structure. You do things certain times, certain ways, et cetera, et cetera. But as an entrepreneur, you have that flexibility to do an appointment in the middle of the day and not feel like you shouldn't be, or go to the beach for a couple of hours at some point and come back and do work later. And so that flow and flexibility is what I refer to as the integration. And you're talking about that flexible lifestyle. That's
right. And Michelle, the thing that I really want to convey to people is the technology gives you more freedom. Now, I will preface that by saying it is true that every technological breakthrough, they say, oh, it's going to free up your time, it'll be easier. That's not the way the world really works. What happens instead is that you can do more in the same amount of time, right? So it's not going to mean that you can sit on the beach. You could, but the other guys that are competition might not be doing that. So that's not necessarily the thing. But what it does do is, and especially with this new wave of AI tools, it allows you to do different jobs. It allows you to do the higher value jobs that only you can do. And that is a really fundamental change in the way that technology is now progressing. You can use technology to make your life easier by making the tasks that you do, by writing, by creating stuff, the creative tasks simpler. And then you can outsource other stuff. But that has never been the case. And now, that happened when calculators came out. Now you didn't have to do that work. Then when spreadsheets came out, now you could do what if and do 5-year forecasts, which you couldn't have done with a calculator. And now you can do predictive modeling with AI tools to decide which is the best business route. So the tools change. But what doesn't change is your ability to leverage, or at least what you need to work on is your ability to leverage those tools to improve your life and be more competitive. What I like to say, Michelle, is he who wields the AI tools best wins.
Absolutely. Spoken like a true samurai. And one of the things that I see when I'm talking with clients as well is that some people are afraid to implement AI or delegate to other people because they're thinking, oh, I'm losing my business. It's my baby. And the passion that they have for their baby as their business, that doesn't go away. And as you said, they need to be doing the high end, the things that actually need them. So having the ability to implement different tools and technology doesn't take away from you as an owner or founder or what have you as the business, the key. It really augments that and adds to it, as exactly. You were saying, right?
Now, there's one other key thing that there's been a paradigm shift. Everyone has seen all the AI tools and everything coming out. But the real fundamental shift that's happened is that young people no longer have to take that shitty job when they get out of school before they climb up the corporate ladder or do whatever they're going to do. You used to have to do that. A lot of pundits talk about that too. I saw Bill Maher, who I like, talking about that stuff, saying, don't they have to take that shitty job? They don't. They do not have to take that shitty job. In fact, Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this a lot. You can do whatever you want. Well, first of all, he says most Gen Zers and even millennials want to be YouTubers or influencers. And by that, what he really means is they want to do the thing they love and make a decent living with it. And you can do that now. Instead of going to university or college or trade school, you can go and apply yourself and learn from YouTube and do whatever you want. You can monetize your story, as we like to say. That is a profound change. Never in history has that been the case. You had to work at first on a farm because you wanted to eat. Then you had to work in the 20th century in the industrial age because that's what you did. Now you can do whatever you want and make money at it. Now, it's not easy and you've got lots of competition, but the barriers to doing that now are gone. So you could be a kid in Africa or somebody in wherever, and you can do that. That is a fundamental change.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're not saying don't go to school. If that's what you want to do, absolutely, by all means, you still want to do that. But it's having the choice to be able to do what they want and not have to do what your parents did or do what everybody expects you to do or see something because you just want to make money and you don't know what else to do. You can now take something that you really love and make that into a business if you're doing it the right way. And that's
exactly.
the key.
And there's something you really need to consider in regards to technology is what is your relationship with technology? I just did a survey on LinkedIn about this, but I asked this: do you see technology as a ball and chain that you need to be unplugged from? Or do you see technology as a critical piece of your business, an important piece of your business? Or, as many Gen Zers do you see technology as something that you'll pry it from my cold, dead hands, right? They get a lot of flack for
Heston reference. They weren't even alive.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. They get a lot of flack for they use it here and they communicate and they do all this stuff. Well, that's because that's the way they've grown up doing it. They communicate differently. They use the technology differently. People bemoan the fact, people don't talk to each other anymore. It's just a different way of communicating. I can imagine there were some people when the phone came out that said, well, in my day, we wrote a letter. We went to see them. This newfangled phone thing, it's impersonal. I'm sure some people said that. The way that young people communicate is different from the way we do. But it doesn't make it worse. And the phone is not an affectation. There's no time when I don't want to be without the cognitive augmentation that a phone gives me. I'm out in the wilderness. I want to know what kind of tree that is, if I can eat that bush over there, or what kind of animal is creeping up behind me. I want to know stuff. Not only that, but I get in the habit of asking. I like to say, Michelle, don't guess, know. And you can now because you have this thing in your phone. So, like getting unplugged, that doesn't make any sense to me. But let me be clear, that is not the same as using your phone all the time. When you're talking to your grandma, you don't need to be on your phone. When you're at the dinner table, you shouldn't necessarily be on your phone, right? So it's an hour here, an hour there, this time, time. There's appropriate times to be on your phone. But saying you should be unplugged from it, I think that's wrong thinking. And people don't use the phone too much. They just don't use it properly often. But it's absurd to suggest that you should be without this. Michelle, in 50 years, we'll have these things implanted in ourselves. It'll probably be way less than that. But there'll be a time when these things are implanted, right? Absolutely. People have pacemakers and other technology in their body, which now is not a big deal. I'm sure at some point somebody said, I would never put that in my body. Well, things change.
Things change over time.
Being away from the tech, there's no reason to do that. It's how you use it, not the fact that you are using it.
And things do change over time, as you said. So it's a matter of embracing that. And some of us will embrace it in different ways. And that's where millennials, Gen Zers, and baby boomers are all embracing it in different ways. I see some boomers doing much better than some Gen Zers. So it depends, I'll say, is the word. But then a 5-year-old can do better than most of us.
Yeah, because it's intuitive. They're learning it.
Being able to.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you're unplugging from the phone because you whatever, and the competition isn't, how are you going to deal with that? That's a challenge. You have to deal with this generation, which now is half the population. So, if you see technology as a ball and chain, as the enemy, that's problematic, right? And again, it's not the tech. Bill Maher and others blame the phone for so many things in society. I think that's hogwash. It's how you use it. And I've said this before. You don't use it at certain times, you do use it others. But the fact that you're using it or using it all the time isn't necessarily a problem. It's simply how you use it. So technology can be a benefit, and it is, but you have to think about these things, and a lot of people don't.
Absolutely. And how you use it is so important. I know for me, my phone doesn't come into my bedroom, but I'm sure for a lot of millennials, it sleeps beside them. So having said that, Martin, let's tell them a little bit about this moving to the cloud. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, the 5 pillars that I just mentioned, moving to the cloud is the first one. And it's really important to be able to do that. There are 5 pillars of productivity. Here they are. Moving to the cloud is the first one, then data management, business communications, privacy and security, and digital agility. Today, we are going to talk about moving to the cloud. So it's really important to understand that if you want to be able to have that flexibility that Gen Z talks about and everyone else talks about, then it's incumbent upon you to set up a technology that allows you to do that. And the first thing you should do is move your contents to the cloud. And by that I mean you simply store it on Google servers, Microsoft servers, whoever you're working with, Apple servers. And we use 2 programs in particular to do that. And again, we vet all of our hardware and the software in our system, so we have very specific ways for using them. And we can send you some information about that. We can talk about that later. But we're going to talk about 2 programs in particular. First is Dropbox. We use Dropbox as our primary storage area for everything. And we use a technique we call mirroring. And that simply means we put everything on the hard drive in Dropbox. So we mirror the hard drive in Dropbox. So what that means is everything you save is in Dropbox, so that you don't have to say, is that in Dropbox or should I put this in Dropbox? No, everything is in Dropbox. Now, we have a very specific folder structure that we use, which we'll talk about when we get to the next one, which is data management. But the folder structure makes it so it's very easy to find stuff. I will say that we have a job folder, and everything is in that job folder, right? That structure is different than what Windows suggests. Windows gives you a video file and a folder and an images folder and music folder. We don't do that. We store it based on based on the job. The reason we use Dropbox, Michelle, is because it automatically saves everything to your hard drive, and then it uploads it to the cloud. So one, that makes it so that it can be shareable. If everything's in Dropbox, then everything is shareable. And that's, taking a step out. You don't have to worry, can I share it? You can share everything. You just take the link and you send it to whoever you want, and you don't have to think about it. And you don't have to think about backing up, because Dropbox backs everything up to the cloud. And you have even additional backup times with Dropbox if you want to purchase that. Now,
and
that's
the thing
really
I love, Martin, about that too, I'll just say, is that working with clients globally, the thing I love is being able to access it wherever you are. So you're saying sharing is one thing, but access it, to me, that's huge.
Exactly. And you can access it on any device because, of course, you can put Dropbox on any device. So that's the first thing. And we use that for most of our files in regards to videos and audio and all of that kind of stuff. For documents and spreadsheets and all of that kind of stuff, we use Google Drive. Now, you might use Microsoft Office. It's great product, so we just don't do that. We're a Google house. But Google Drive we use for all of the collaborative tools that we use. Again, spreadsheets, documents, slide decks, drawings. Am I missing one, Michelle? There's a couple others in there, but those are the main ones. And Google does all the heavy lifting here, right? They have the collaboration tools and the security, so we don't have to worry about it. We can assign a very specific document for a specific amount of time, and it has infinite tracking, so you can see everything. But here's the thing. The reason we use Dropbox and Drive is because we always use the best tool for the job, which is Prime Directive number 3. And for managing files, Dropbox is better because it saves it to the drive first, then uploads it. For managing documents, Drive is better because they originate in Drive. But Drive isn't as good, in my estimation, for saving videos and all that stuff. It certainly can, but the way that it works, it saves it to Drive, then it downloads it to the hard drive. The opposite. And what that means is there's a lag between when you save it to Drive and when you have it access it on the hard drive. And to me, that's unacceptable. It's like an elevator that works 95% of the time. No, it doesn't work. So that's why we use Dropbox for files like videos and stuff, and Drive for documents, because we need instant access to both.
So Martin, just to clarify, so Drive is going first to your hard drive and then to the cloud, or is that
Nope,
Dropbox?
the other way around.
That's the two. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So Dropbox is going first to
First to the hard drive.
and then to the cloud, and Dropbox
Exactly.
is going to the cloud and then to your system. Okay. Good.
Yeah. Well, okay, no, the other way around. Dropbox, hard drive to cloud. Drive, cloud to hard drive. Okay. So yeah. And that, again, for efficiency, that's a problem. And it also, Dropbox is easier for sharing. So you can share with Drive, of course, but it defaults to, you can't see this, right? You have to add permissions. And I'm sure everyone's gotten before something from someone and then said, I can't read it. You need to ask for permission to see this. That's a pain point. That's a friction point. Dropbox doesn't do that. So Dropbox is the other way around. You give it and they have it already. So you don't have to say anything. If that folder is shared and you put it in that folder, they have it, right? Mm-hmm. So again, there's just less friction in Dropbox in doing certain things, and Drive is better for the other. You know, one person said, I don't want to buy both of them. Well, it's the same kind of thing when I talk about with technology. Perspective. Look at the perspective of this. If this thing saves you 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, an hour a week, whatever it is, add that up. What's your time worth? Right? Is it worth the extra $15 a month? Of course it is. Right? People get really cheap about this stuff. Get both of them. Get both of them, right? There's advantages to both. They'll both save you time and take friction out of what you do. So I recommend both.
Absolutely. And if you didn't get the cloud computer, whatever thing figured out, that's okay. You can have a techie brother like me, or it doesn't matter. You don't really need to know. You just use them and they work. But it's also the collaborative nature of the tools is what I love as well. And being able to not have to email this and not have to worry about, did I find that? Did you get the email? All that. It's there. You've got the link. You can access it. You know where it is. So I love all that.
Yeah. And the other thing I would say about moving to the cloud is, first, it gives you this flexibility, it gives you the backup ability, but then if you lose your device, your phone, your computer, or it gets stolen, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's really, really easy to put it back on another thing. And it makes it so that it is easy to move between devices, between places. And if it's set up right, you simply won't have to be looking for your stuff. It'll be on your phone. Yeah. You can upload on your computer, then run off to your meeting, and you know that it's there on your phone if it's set up right. If you don't have that ability, then it's not set up right. And we have best practices around how to do that stuff. But the flexibility you required to move around easily, frictionlessly, be able to access your stuff from any device, you really need to move to the cloud. So, yeah.
As they say, it's priceless. It's priceless. And the time it saves, and you just said, Martin, the ROI, what is your hourly rate, right? If you are the founder, owner, you're handling most of your business, is your hourly rate $1,000, $5,000, whatever that is. If you can save an hour a day from all of this back and forth and can't find and all this, and I've got to download it on this system because I'm going to the States or I'm going to Europe, whatever. You don't have to deal with any of that. Your $1,000, there's your ROI. So exactly. Do the things that work and move to the cloud. And I think, Martin, we're going to share, if they want to DM us, we're going to share a micro lesson about moving to the cloud. Yep,
we have a lesson about that, about specifically how to set this stuff up. If you want more information about that, you can DM us. But it really comes down to, Michelle, using the technology efficiency and looking at what is the best tool for the job. And that's what we did. And that's why we recommend the things that we do.
And I will say that my brother literally tests these things to the 9th degree to be able to make sure that it is the best tool for the job. So when he says that, he knows what he's talking about. Martin, this has been great. This is one of the fun topics. I love being able to get anything, anywhere, wherever I am, and not have to worry about the emails and all of that. So I love this.
Don't settle. Do work you love. Monetize your story. Design your future.